Well, she's leaving behind a profile where she has done a lot of work for the district. The Republicans have been very supportive of her.
Hi there, it's WAMC News Director Ian Pickus, and on this episode of the WAMC News Podcast, change is coming to New York's 21st House District. Well, in the 21st District, Republican Elise Stefanik just won a sixth term, but the close Trump ally will be stepping down to become UN ambassador, setting the stage for a special election next year in a district that went through a similar process back in 2009. And joining me to break it down is WAMC's North Country Bureau Chief, Pat Bradley. Hey, Pat.
Hi, Ian. How are you?
Well, I thought we were done with election season, and it turns out I was wrong.
Yeah, so did we. We thought we were done in the New York 21st District also.
So as we get ready for the new year and this likely special election, just remind us, because this is obviously a humongous district, where does it cover?
The New York 21st District is one of the largest in the eastern U.S. It's about 10,000 square miles. It encompasses all of northern New York and kind of seeps down towards the Albany area. It includes all or part of 15 counties. From east to west, it stretches from Plattsburgh to Watertown, and then from north to south, from the Canadian border south to Rensselaer and Schoharie counties. It kind of hugs around Albany County, but doesn't include Albany County. So some of the counties that it includes are Clinton, Franklin, St. Lawrence, Lewis, Hamilton, Essex, Warren, Washington, Fulton, Herkimer, Montgomery, Schoharie. And then the ones that are part of the, but not entirely contained in the 21st District are Jefferson, Rensselaer, and Otsego.
Now, in recent years, I think it's fair to say this has been a pretty conservative House district, right?
In general, yes. It's a very rural area, so it does tend to go with GOP candidates. The only Democrat that was elected to the seat in about 200 years was Bill Owens back in 2009. The rural does tend to be very GOP, but the urban areas tend to be Democratic, and there's not that many urban areas, mostly the Plattsburgh area and the Watertown area, but the Watertown area is also where Fort Drum is, and many military tend to be Republican. So it's a very mixed area, and one of the things that I noticed in the last election, some of those rural areas were a little bit more purple. So even though it's a strong GOP area, it's maybe starting to change just a little bit.
Well, the question will be, in a special election, which is likely to happen sometime this spring, will Democrats have a fighting chance there? Now, as I said, Elise Stefanik has been elected and reelected without a lot of drama over her time in Congress. Voters have really stuck with her. So what kind of profile is she leaving behind, assuming she is confirmed for UN ambassador?
Well, she's leaving behind a profile where she has done a lot of work for the district. The Republicans have been very supportive of her, and she's, been very, very active in supporting the military. As I mentioned, Fort Drum. There's a very large number of veterans in this area, and she's been very strong on maintaining the New York and Quebec Canadian ties. So she's been very active in that. She also has been very supportive of the agricultural interests in this area, another big industry segment up here.
Now, she had a political evolution, which both of us have covered very closely, from somebody who was very sort of mainstream GOP and critical of Donald Trump to now, one of his most vocal supporters in all of Washington. So where does that leave potential candidates especially from the Republican side, who would like to follow in her footsteps?
Well, I think, especially with this last election, I think they're trying to figure that out too. I think many of them will try to follow in her current footsteps. But I think there's others that are going to be a little bit careful because I think because you're seeing a little bit more purple in the area, they want to perhaps be a little bit more middle of the line there. I'm not sure how well a Democrat will do overall in the district. It is, again, still very strongly Republican, but I'm not sure how far right and how far MAGA a Republican would do if they really went that far to the right.
So who are some of the people who we know are either looking at standing before the county party chairs or are outright interested in it?
The candidates that are coming out right now, seems to be more Republicans right now than Democrats, but it seems like every time you turn around, there's a new candidate that or a new person that has announced a potential candidacy. Rensselaer County Executive Steve McLaughlin was put out very early on. Sticker Mule CEO Anthony Constantino is one of the few businessmen that have said they are interested in running. Then there's a series of office holders who have put out their names, including 102nd District Assemblyman Chris Tagg, 45th District Senator Dan Steck, Mark Molinaro, who has expressed some interest in this.
And we should just say Molinaro has just lost his bid for a second term in the 19th congressional district. So he doesn't live in New York 21, but you're allowed to run anywhere in the state as long as you live in the state.
Yes. And Jeremy Messina, who ran in the 113th district, is a Republican who's also expressing interest. And with the Democrats, Middleburg Mayor Timothy Knight recently announced that he launched an exploratory committee about potentially running in the district. And Democrat Paula Collins, who ran against Elise Stefanik in the last election, is considering running again. So that's a list of people who have definitely said they may be or they're seriously considering it. And there's others that people have been talking about but are saying they're either keeping their options open, like 115th Assembly District D. Billy Jones, or others who have said, no, not going to do it. And that includes Plattsburgh Supervisor Michael Cashman and Plattsburgh Mayor Chris Rosenquist. They've taken themselves out of consideration for a New York 21 race.
What do you think the issues in the race will be? I know it's going to be early into the new congressional term, but, Republicans will have unified government in Washington, so some of the Trump policies will either be enacted or in the works in the new year. And that might change the conversation a bit from where it was during the November election when Stefanik did so well.
Well, I think affordability, taxes, help for businesses. We are very close to the Canadian border up here, so cross-border trade, tourism, anything that would help that and make sure that you have the free trade and free access to the tourism that's going across the border is critical in this area. Climate, especially with the Adirondacks in this area, all those are going to be issues up here.
That's WAMC's North Country Bureau Chief, Pat Bradley. Always love talking to you, Pat. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Ian.
Okay, that does it for this episode of the WAMC News Podcast. Thanks so much for listening. Until next time, I'm Ian Pickus.